Welcome fans inside the WBB Mason Coaches Report right here on GoHofstra.com. I'm Brian Bull, joined by the head coach of the Hofstra women's basketball team, Krista Kilburn-Steveskey. And Coach, how's everything going?
Great, Brian, great.
Well, a great couple of conference wins over the last week. Kelly Loftus scores 21 points. You get the win down at UNCW. You always talk about how difficult it is to win on the road, and a great crowd there. It was their equivalent of What I Want to Be Day. So just talk about starting off the week with that close victory at UNCW.
Well, I knew we were in trouble when the security guard at the airport already knew about the UNC Wilmington game the next day, and that she said there were 600 pizzas ordered. So our trusty dusty accountant, Michael Gibson, knew how to take 600 pizzas divided by one. That was like 4,800 fans. So there was 4,800 fans there, one slice of pizza for every elementary kid, and they did a great job. That was their second one. So as they did two of kind of, like you said, our What I Want to Be days, and it was extremely loud. And it's just an advantage. I mean, it's definitely beyond a sixth man on the floor, and loud. It was hard to hear play calls, and but a fun environment, and it's a lot more fun when you come out victorious.
And a real back and forth game. Darius, you had a couple people step up, but Darius Falk scores, I think, half of her points in the final minute and a half, gets a steal, coast-to-coast layup, gets a defensive rebound, hits a basket on the other end. Just talk about her last 2 minutes.
Well, that's it. I mean, you had just great play from, Ajane Durant, who, gave you strong minutes, and Kelly Loftus, who gave you strong minutes and big points. And then you had, so you're talking about your top three here of your competitive players, and then you have, Darius. I talked about it immediately right after the game, that, her will to win. You've had Crystal, obviously, having great games, and that's what marks a great team. Even when someone's struggling, but the will to win that Darius just really exhibited in that game, and she's a winner. We've always talked about her from high school, recruiting her in high school, and watching her every team that she's been involved in, and she just has such a winning mentality, and she just led everybody with her actions on that floor, and it was fun to be a part of that.
And that game capped a stretch of 3 games on the road, back-to-back weeks. You have to fly down to the Carolinas, right. And there's a lot of parity in this league, so to win on the road in general is always a challenge. The fact that it's the 2 longest regular season trips of the year for conference play, and you're able to come out with a win. Just talk about the importance.
Yeah, and it's hard to win down there, like you said, beyond the travel and coming into that gym. But we got to talk about. We'd be remiss without talking about Sandra Dongmo hitting that bank shot right at the time. We'd gone about 3 or 4 minutes without scoring. I mean, they weren't scoring either. We were holding them on the other end, but Sandra kind of broke the seal on the basket, and just kind of gave us that initial to go ahead, and that was an absolutely huge bucket. So just that's, again, having the mark of this team is like the success is generated by each person as a unit. I mean, that's what's making this team such a great team, is because no one gets bent out of shape. If Kelly has 21 and Crystal has 21, obviously the next night, and Darius has 20 in Marist, and then Asia has, her outstanding game against College of Charleston, had her career high, and, Jaquel has 10 on Sunday. I mean, look what I'm saying. I mean, the luxury of having this as a coach this year is something I'm just enjoying, because you don't get this where you have this depth in this great depth in the guards, and just having so many remarkable players coming together as a unit.
Well, you talk about different people stepping up in different
Right.
games. In the next game, you come home, nationally televised game against William and Mary. Crystal Luciano sets a career high of 21
Right.
points. It's her 3rd 20-point game this season. And like you said, another player that
Right.
takes the mantle of leading the team.
Well, and that, I just kind of go back to the start of the season when everyone was going, oh, so-and-so. I'm like, guys, Crystal's always been that kind of player that, she's going to do whatever it takes for the team to win. And, if it's a night where she's feeling it like she was, and she had made a comment after the game, and her teammates kept feeding her the ball, and, you just know. And I mean, I think that's what I always say. It's easy to pick on whoever has the high points and say they're great, but Crystal's just been that kind of slow and steady about, like, I want to run this team, I'm going to give the team what it needs. All of us are growing up when it's getting bad or the shot's not on, and that's what her and Darius really have to kind of overcome. They can't be like everybody else. They have to provide and produce no matter if the shot's not on. And Kelly has done that this year for us, but to be more versatile. But Crystal and Darius, they got all these eyes looking at them all the time, but could have been more proud of her. I mean, she was feeling it. Everybody understands the shots that we take in our offense. We're doing, again, a better job game after game controlling momentum shifts, but she just does some remarkable things on the floor, and her passes. And I heard the commentator in the Women Mary game make a comment, you need to have your hands ready when you're playing with Crystal, because you never know when the ball's going to come. But but they're really beginning to gel and kind of come together, and just can't be any more proud. Happy for Angie White in that game. She's been kind of plagued with some unfortunate calls at times. I mean, she's learning how to play through this, but I think she kind of got her mojo back in that game as well.
Hofstra hits the first 6 3-pointers in that opening quarter, and this team has shown it can win in a couple of different ways,
Right.
but when you hit those shots early on, it kind of spreads the floor a little bit. Everyone gets into a rhythm. Just talking
Yeah.
about the importance of knocking down those early shots.
Well, we worked on, going against the press all week long, going into even before the Wilmington game. We pretty much started on last Tuesday, breaking against their 2-2-1. We knew it's just like a little bit of a nemesis. And then we just talked about ways that if we could just get away from their front line of that, you'd have the corners for shots. And boy, they proved that. We saw that just a little bit in the Northeastern game that they had played on that Friday night. But, we knew that kind of coming into the week that, and they exploited it. I mean, they found Kelly in the corners, Crystal's in the corner. Asia comes in, makes her first three. Like I told you earlier, Jaquel has 10 points. Olivia Askin comes in. We tried to get her. She had a couple nice looks on that, and she's getting more minutes. She's played in some tight ball games when we've been down. Might only been for a few minutes, but all that does is build confidence in her teammates, obviously, and her entire coaching staff that she can take care of business, and she can. You need that coming toward conference time. So, it's fun. I mean, they did, like I said, just a great job of handling that pressure and really kind of becoming so overwhelming at the beginning that it was hard for William and Mary because we were so powerful out of the gate, and just proud of that response.
Well, with the win, Hofstra stays undefeated at home this season, and you have a couple of more home games coming up starting Friday. You mentioned
Yeah.
What I Want to Be Day, a noon start
Right.
against the Huskies. Just what do you expect out of the Huskies? And it's always been the best crowd
Yeah.
of the year for sure.
Well, I'm glad we've got one of those games under our belt too, of playing that early in the morning, and to accomplish our goals at the end of the season, we could be playing at noon somewhere else down the road. So, but yeah, that's going to be fun. And every game is a different game, right? So it's an important game. It's our next game because it's important. That's why, and it's going to be loud. And it's going to be in our favor, and so that'll be fun. It'll be fun having that kind of crowd, with them coming in here, and and then we just deal with a very good Northeastern team. They had beat William Mary on that Friday night. Towson again that comes up on Sunday, who had just beaten Elon. So there's no rest. There's no rest for the weary this time of year, and it's just take every game and be us, like we always talk about. Just keep being us and continue to get smarter, from every game. Smarter when momentum shifts happen and things like that, being able to control the game a little bit better.
And first, Huskies come in, and then, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
Towson comes in on Sunday. And now the team's had a couple of weeks to get used to the Friday-Sunday format because it's a very quick turnaround. Just how has the team responded in those second games? From what you've seen?
I mean, I thought the Elon and then the Charleston one, that one was a tough one with Charleston. And obviously I thought this weekend was a little bit better, but then we even flew. We flew and came back on Friday, and so it'll start getting trickier. This will, at least you have 2 at home, but then going forward, you have 2 aways, and you do the Virginia sweeps between the JMUs and the William Marys, and so it is what it is. We're all in the same battle together and trying to figure it out. But just similar to what happened to William Mary with Ed's team, you have a player that does get hurt. Whether she could come back, it was a high ankle sprain that might have been a little bit more difficult even with a 1-day turnaround. But it's the same problems that we're all experience and we're all trying to deal with, is just that quick turnaround and what to do during the week, then to be able to not work them so that you can be able to have your legs Friday and Sunday.
Got you. Well,
Yeah.
Coach, good luck this week. And
Thank you.
She's the head coach of the Hofstra women's basketball team, Krista Kilburn-Steveskey. I'm Brian Bowl, and thank you for watching the WB Mason Coaches Report right here on GoHofstra.com.